So we just got the premiere of the Hitman's wife's Bodyguard, and it somehow manages to be even more ridiculous than the first. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon, and this is Film Flare, where we discuss anything and everything that makes film and television great. So be sure to subscribe, and let's talk about a frustrating movie. Now, this movie carries over the same writer and director from the first one, and the story follows the now burnt-out bodyguard Michael Bryce as he continues his unlikely partnership with the assassin Darius Kincaid, and now his conwoman wife Sonya as they get roped into a mission to stop an evil plot that threatens all of Europe.
In 4 days, all of Europe will burn.
This is a funny movie, but right from the start, this movie has a lot going on in terms of character introductions, individual storylines, and the overarching plot. And at times, it just feels like this movie is trying to do too many things at once to do any of them particularly well. The first movie had a simple enough plot: protect one man while getting him from point A to point B. There were a couple of detours along the way, but for the most part, you knew where the story wanted to go. But this one was just running in a bunch of different directions all at once. And it was overall just much less straightforward from start to finish, feeling like a couple of different movies smashed into one. First up, we've got the blacklisted bodyguard on sabbatical after the events of the previous film, who's unsure about what direction to take his life in now.
I'm starting to imagine a life without bodyguarding. This really feels like a new beginning.
And when he's literally dragged back into the action, he has to work his way back up to the top of his profession while deciding if he even wants to be there anymore. While Michael felt like an actual bodyguard in the first movie as he was actually protecting someone, in this one he's reduced to little more than a third wheel in the story that's not really about him. He spends a good portion of the film not even having a say in the things that are happening, and was both literally and metaphorically a passenger in his own story. Then there was Darius and Sonya Kincaid, the criminal lovebirds who may have been on their honeymoon, but definitely were well past the honeymoon phase of their relationship. They spend the whole movie either fighting or making out, but the relationship as a whole was really just used as the basis for a number of running jokes throughout the movie, and really not much else.
I would make a great mother, don't you think?
I think you, yes. The child would be so lucky to have you as its host.
But I am really glad that didn't stop Salma Hayek from being absolutely hilarious. I didn't give her too much thought in the first movie, as I thought she was just kind of a throwaway character for a few scenes as part of Darius's story, but I guess she made enough of an impression to warrant a sequel almost entirely about her. And she was hands down the best part about this movie.
When you push me by the boobs, I could hear the little boy inside of you. Mommy, please don't die.
I don't think that's what I was screaming.
Selma kept the story from getting too stale and really carried this movie from start to finish. But outside of the big three, there were just a bunch of side characters that felt like they were just half-heartedly thrown together using a bunch of readily available stereotypes. There was Morgan Freeman as Michael's father, who honestly just felt like a cameo rather than a role that added anything of significance to the story. He was supposed to be the greatest bodyguard in history and the gold standard that Michael was never able to live up to. But then he himself isn't who he pretends to be and winds up being everything Michael wants to avoid. I don't think he needed to be on screen to have the impact the writers were going for, and he just wasn't built up enough to warrant the type of reaction I think they wanted out of him. Not to mention the few scenes with the Interpol agent who doesn't want to be there but ropes everyone into his unsanctioned schemes as he tries to save the continent from a terror attack. The no-filter Boston cop who hates everything not American, desperately wants to go home, never gets taken seriously by his superiors, and goes way off book to try to solve the case, but not before his methods make the situation worse first. While I do like Frank Grillo, his role in this one was a bit disappointing. And I'm not quite sure why he had to be in this movie, as his character didn't do anything of substance and ultimately had no real arc in the story. And were we really supposed to believe Antonio Banderas as Greek? That just kept distracting me every time I saw him on screen. Overall, this was a funny movie, but it just threw a ton of different things at the wall to see what sticks, and nothing really landed the way it was supposed to. The characters, especially the main trio, were great, but the action wasn't that spectacular, the story was all over the place, and the comedy was just a bit forced. Had this been a standalone film with no relation to the original, I think I would have enjoyed it more. And I don't know if there will ever be another sequel, but it sucks to say that I kinda hope not. I actually really liked the Hitman's Bodyguard, but this sequel was just so far off from that original premise. They doubled down on the ridiculousness of the first movie while barely keeping the underlying story and themes that really helped balance that one out. And the result was just an over-the-top slapstick comedy that went out of its way to go for the low-hanging fruit. It's funny, but not the same as the original. But what are your thoughts on The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard? Let me know in the comments below. It's available now in theaters. But before you go and watch it, please do be sure to give this a like and subscribe for more reviews like this. We've got new content coming out every Tuesdays and Fridays. But until next time, have a great day, and don't forget to watch a great movie. Bye.